Yeah, g'day, how's it going, guys? So, yeah, for this video, I want to talk with you guys about knives. That's something that's that's often overlooked when you're just learning about hunting and stuff, is actually having a decent knife, because everybody's all sort of focused on their rifle or like the binoculars they have and all that sort of stuff, but obviously a knife is quite important. So the first thing that I learnt when I sort of got into hunting on my own when I was about 16 or 17, I fell into that trap thinking that the more you pay for a knife, then obviously the better it's going to be. So I'll show you one of the first knives I bought. Was this little Arctic, it's a Black Fox. Obviously it looks like quite a good knife, but I don't know if you can see there. There's the chips there on that blade. I could not get this really to hold a decent edge. I paid, I think, $180 for this knife, and it looks really nice. It came in a nice sheath. I couldn't actually find that, but yeah, hopefully you could see the strength of the blade wasn't really very good, and I can't seem to sharpen it. And I'm reasonable at sharpening knives, and I'd be sort of halfway through getting a deer and it would be absolutely useless, and I'd be trying to sharpen it, and yeah, it just didn't really work out very well. Then after that, my next knife that I got, and actually before that, I sort of had a go when I was sort of 13, 14 and stuff. I bought all the flash looking knives that were only like $30. Like, you know, the cheap like Asian ones and stuff, and we'll talk about them a bit later. But so this was the first of the decent knives, or well, what I thought was a decent knife. But then, so after that, I sort of looked at what my dad had been using and what a lot of other hunters that I'd seen, or a lot of other farmers I'd seen using, and I ended up with this. This is a Duri. I believe these are made here in New Zealand. As you can see, this knife has had a lot of use. I've been using this for about 6 or 7 years. These blades are a carbide steel, so it's more of an old school sort of a blade. This one here came in a sheath with a steel. Obviously I customized it a bit. The main reason why that antler's there is so I've got something to hold on like as I'm sharpening it, and also it catches the blade if I slip. So that's actually saved me a few times. But I bought this for, I think the package with the knife and the sheath, I got it for I think about $40. Yeah, I checked the price of these today at Shooters World in Gawler, and if you buy the knife on its own, and they have other shapes of the blade as well, they were $30. So I think that's quite a reasonable price. This knife has always held its edge really well. I've done 3 deer out in the bush in a row without having to sharpen it. And the only issue I had with it right at the start, the point on it was really, it was quite a fine point, and that actually came off it pretty quick. It sort of snapped off. So I just made up sort of a wee bit of a point there. But this knife's been fantastic, and I've seen a lot of these knives out there, and there's other brands that make them, like the Victorinox. I'd recommend them. I've got some other knives that are the Victorinox brand. They're a little bit more expensive, but not a lot. But this knife, I use it for essentially everything. Like, it's reasonable for skinning and for gutting. It's quite good for cutting up like the carcass when you're jointing it out and stuff. It's even reasonable for boning out stuff because of the point on it. And I even use this for, even if we're cutting up a cattle beast or something, I use this basically for all of my cuts of meat. Like when this is real sharp, I'm able to cut my wiener schnitzel with it. So yeah, these knives are really good, I think. And like, keep in mind, like with the sheath and everything, they're only about 60 or 70 bucks. And like, this knife has lasted a long time. Like, my dad's had one since about the mid 80s, and yeah, he swears by it. Yeah, this is what I'd recommend if you don't have a lot of money, but there are some other options out there. While we're on the end of the line, that if you don't have a lot of money, there's also the other, like the cheaper knives, like the Buffalo Rivers and stuff. I've had a few of them. Some of them are good, but the ones I've had, I just can't. They don't seem to hold an edge, and yeah. So I wouldn't really recommend them. Like, for the same amount of money, you can have a knife like this. So I don't know why you'd really want to bother with that. I have had one exception of a Chinese-made knife. A couple of years ago, I was in a shop in Invercargill, and they had a wee, can't remember the brand of the knife, but it was a folder, and it was only a wee, like a pocket knife, and yeah, so it had a chunk of the plastic out of the handle, so they were selling it for $4.50. So I grabbed that, just thinking I might leave it in the ute or whatever, but it actually turned out to be an awesome knife, and I've had it for about three years, and I've used it a lot hunting and stuff, and it's been awesome. Actually, my dad's using it at the moment because he lost his knife, so yeah, so he's using that, and that's been a good knife. So you do get really good ones, but it's not generally the rule. So the other class of knives is if you want a high quality knife. This is my mate's Gerber. This is a nice knife. He says that it holds its edge really well, and it sharpens up really well. This one's a US made one, and I believe they're about $250. So you've got to watch with these larger companies like the Gerbers and the Remingtons and stuff. They actually, some of them knives, they're made in China, and they just put their name on them. So you think you're getting a real nice knife, but it's just a Chinese knife. And like, they're reasonable knives, but if if you want a real good one, you've got to make sure they're either made in the US or Japan or Germany or somewhere like that. So yeah, my recommendation for learner hunters will definitely be something like the Victory or the Victorinox. Yeah, just a good, like a basic knife. Like I said, I've had no issues with this knife except for the point at the start. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So I hope you guys like it. Like, subscribe, share, or let me know if you don't like it. Yeah, but thanks for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in, because there's been a pretty good response really for all the videos I've got. Like, I've only been up for a week and a half, and you've already had around about 800 views, so thank you guys a lot for that. Alright, we'll see you next time.